What about this? A developing story this morning. Donald Trump stands, he's planning to basically sue the BBC for £1 billion. There is now a second scandal in which a second flagship show, Newsnight, is implicated in a manipulated, misleading clip. So Newsnight and Panorama, a big problem for the BBC. Let's get a voice note on this from Elle. Take a listen.
I paid my licence for 30 years without question because I thought what they were telling us was the truth, and then found out with in 2016 with the amount of bias over Brexit, I realised then stopped paying them, explained in a long email. As regards Donald Trump, I hope he sues them. I really hope he sues them. Yes, he has every right to do so, and then I hope they go bust.
Oh, powerful stuff. Thank you for that, Elle. Well, that's very much represented on the message board. Good morning, Mark, says Pauline. Absolutely, Trump should sue. The BBC are now tarnished and can't recover from the damage that's been caused by the numerous scandals that have come to light. But I believe they are just the tip of the iceberg. Yes, Trump should sue the BBC, says another unnamed texter. It's been biased for years. I never watch it, and I don't see why I should be forced to pay for a service that I do not use. Defund the BBC. Yaki says, Mark, the taxpayers of this country should take the BBC to the cleaners themselves. They lied to us deliberately as well. The left has been infiltrating for decades, and now we see the results. Keep going on our behalf. And last but not least, Mark has messaged in. Good morning, Mark. I'm Mark from Leeds. I think Trump should sue the BBC and also contact King Charles to let him know how angry he is and how the BBC edits have wrongly incriminated him. So we've got a second flagship show that has broadcast a misleading, heavily edited clip of Donald Trump on January the 6th, 2021. Let's get a reaction now from a London Assembly member for Reform UK, Alex Wilson. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Mark.
The BBC have just apologised. They're going to have to do a second apology.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised. We all know the BBC News agenda is not fair and impartial. I stopped watching BBC News coverage probably around the time of the Brexit referendum, and it's no surprise that many other people are doing the same, and that month on month GB News has a higher viewership than the BBC News channel, and that's because people are looking for something that isn't kind of sneering and condescending and talking down to people who might have a view that's outside of the the kind of liberal elite.
Most definitely. Alex, Rachel Reeves is apparently going to do a U-turn and not increase income tax. If so, where's the money going to come from to fill her £30 billion black hole?
Well, this is quite remarkable. Having held that excruciating press conference a couple of weeks ago where she was rolling the pitch for tax rises, but without explicitly saying so, because we can't say exactly what we're going to do before the budget. But very clear that was the direction of travel, and blaming everybody else apart from herself for the fact that this was needed. Blaming Brexit, blaming the Tories, blaming the Ukraine war, all these things. It's someone else's fault with Labour. It always seems to be someone else's fault. They can never take responsibility for themselves. Well, what we all know is the reason the economy is in the state that it is at the moment is largely as a result of Rachel Reeves' first budget, which put up taxes on small businesses, hospitality, retail, particularly hit by the hike in national insurance. And as a consequence, month on month since that budget, unemployment has been rising, and it's now at the highest level since COVID. And if you have fewer people working, that's fewer people paying tax. And if they want to try and raise the revenue, then no wonder they thought they had to increase the rate that people were paying. But I don't know where the money's going to come from now. In the longer term, we need a different approach to the economy. We need to try and stimulate growth by, galvanising the dynamic force of the private sector. And you don't do that by taxing everything to oblivion. But that's a long-term approach. In the short term, God knows where she's going to get the money from now. But what she will do is she'll continue to blame everybody else apart from herself.
Well, yes, the latest is hackers. We don't have economic growth because of hackers. Who knew? The bottom line is that growth in the last period recorded was 0.1%, which is as low as you can get without basically flatlining, borderline recession. That is the overall GDP figure per capita, per head, per viewer and listener to Morning Glory. It's basically a recession, which is quite shocking, which is why everyone feels so skint, because they are. But the issue you've got is that her party won't let her cut spending. She's not going to increase income tax. This is a bad portent for the future. I think an economic crash is coming.
Well, She talks about her fiscal rules that she's not prepared to break, supposedly. But you're right, the Labour Party, the parliamentary party, won't allow meaningful cuts in public spending. You saw what happened when the government tried to not even cut the welfare bill, but just restrict the growth in the welfare bill by a small amount of about 5 billion, and the parliamentary Labour Party went into meltdown. So any attempt to get a grip on the bloated public sector simply isn't going to happen under this government. She's now backing off from raising income tax, which would have been a way of raising some money, certainly in the short term. It's remarkable, but it just goes to show what an absolute shambles this government has been. I didn't think it was possible, or certainly not possible as quickly as this, for a government to be so shambolic, so disorganised, so detached from reality as the Tories were towards the end of their period in office. But in a year and a half, the wheels have well and truly come off. God knows what they were thinking when they were in opposition. They had all that time to plan and prepare and work out what they were going to do in government, and they haven't got a clue. And I think part of it is because that Labour front bench, those cabinet ministers, none of them have ever set up or run their own business and had to understand what makes the economy tick, how you raise revenue, how you keep the lights on, how you keep things moving, and how you keep paying your staff, and how you have to employ people, and sometimes you have to sack people. But they don't understand that. And that's why their management of the economy is so shambolic. That's why we're in the state we are now.
Of course, they would argue, and you've hinted at it, that they inherited a right royal mess under the Tories. Of course, the point is, they said they'd make things better. Things have got worse. Inflation's up, unemployment's up, growth is down, and my viewers and listeners are struggling. Alex, the Met Police is investigating tens of group-based child sexual abuse cases involving what could be described as grooming gangs, according to the force's chief commissioner. 9,000 historic cases. This puts a lie to the idea on the part of London Mayor that the capital hasn't got a grooming gangs problem.
Absolutely. Now, we saw back in January when the Conservative leader, Susan Hall, from the Assembly, challenged Khan, and he was obfuscating, he was pretending to not know what she was asking. What's a grooming gang? What are you asking? Don't understand this. And then trying to suggest that there wasn't a problem in London. Now, looking at the size and scale and makeup of London, it's utterly inconceivable to think that this problem, which has affected so many other towns across the UK, isn't going on in London. We're now getting to see a bit more of a picture about it. We had a meeting with the Assembly yesterday with Met Commissioner Mark Dolan, and all the Assembly members were grilling him there. We had a debate in the afternoon on the motion to try and speed up the national inquiry. I put forward an amendment to look at an alternative approach, the parliamentary commission approach that Nigel Farage had suggested a few weeks ago, because basically the national inquiry is dead in the water. It's got no chairman, no terms of reference. A lot of the victims and survivors panel are resigning. That doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So we need to get this moving. But as I say, it's utterly inconceivable to think that this is not going on in London. It clearly is. Khan was hiding from it. He can't hide from it anymore. The truth will come out. Both Susan and I have been approached by a number of whistleblowers who at the right time will come out in public and completely blow the lid off this. But yeah, it's a real problem. We need to get a grip on it. We need to hurry up and get the answers that everybody, most importantly, the victims and survivors, need and deserve.
Well, Susan Hall, the politician that's been calling out the problem of grooming gangs in the UK and in London in particular, gaslit by the London Mayor, joins us on the show in the 8 o'clock hour. Alex, great to see you again. We'll catch up soon. Alex Wilson is the Reform UK London Assembly member. Should Donald Trump, in the light of a second devastating clip, a doctored clip of the president which went out on Newsnight, should Trump take the BBC to the cleaners?